I've got some couple of other questions, and then we've got some questions from people who've written in. This is a non-writing question, just because I'm interested myself. So bug anyone else. So is it Krav Maga that you've been studying recently in martial art?
Oh, it's Kali or a schema.
Right, tell me about it, because I've done various martial arts over the year, and I don't know anything about that one.
It's a Philippine stick fighting martial art.
Oh, okay.
So it's called Kali, the version that we do, but it's basically a schema.
Right.
And also a Panatukan, which is also very similar to Salat.
I've heard of Salat before, yeah.
Which is the stuff they do in the raid films.
Right, okay.
And some Muay Thai as well. And this company that I go with is called MKG, and they do those three main ones, and some Jeet Kune Do and a couple of other things. And they're predominantly outside of the States, but there's a UK and I think in New Zealand and a few in Ireland and stuff like that.
Right.
So predominantly I do Kali and Panatukan. I love Panatukan, it's brilliant. And I love Kali, it's a lot of fun. Hitting people with sticks, great fun.
What's that love?
Exactly. Panatukan is essentially the unarmed version of Kali.
Right, okay.
It's also called dirty boxing.
Ah.
Because there's a lot of throat strikes and,
ouch,
and trying to get the eyes and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun, but we can't do that at the moment because we have to be 6 feet apart. So we're doing the Kali, and then we've kind of moved on to doing Muay Thai, and I find Muay Thai exceptionally difficult.
Right, how come?
Because it is exhausting. It is just absolutely exhausting. It's Panatukan is all about using the opponent's kind of weight and movement and moving around them and hitting them very quickly and getting out of the way and all the rest of it. Muay Thai is a bit more like just going through whoever's in front of you at high speed, whether they want to be gone through or not, sort of thing. It is a lot of fun, but it's also a bit brain melty because there's a lot of combinations and a lot of kind of like do a hook cross, hook, elbow strike, knee strike, and then a switch kick and all the rest of it. And you're doing like 18 different individual an 18 count combination. And by the time I get to about 11, my brain's going, I don't even remember which foot I'm supposed to be using anymore. Yeah. We were doing something the other day, and the coach after I went, was like, man, I didn't get that. And he was like, well, that's brown belt. So you're not brown belt. You're doing fine.
Okay.
Excellent. Then I'm happy to continue making an arse of myself. That's no problem. But I really enjoy it. It's great. Carly in particular, my youngest daughter, Harley, she's 8. She does Carly.
Wow.
And Muay Thai. They do a kind of kids Carly Muay Thai combination with some grappling and stuff, but they can't do the grappling again at the moment.
No.
And she's lethal. She's a dangerous little ninja of a girl. And the other day she couldn't go because she was in quarantine because one of her friends got ill. So she had to take 2 weeks off, and she was like, can we go outside and do some stick fighting? I'm like, yeah, but I've only got my actual wooden sticks, not your soft ones.
Right.
Use my actual wooden stick, and she cracked me right across the knuckle. And I was like, and we are now done with using actual wooden sticks.
Get some fun ones again, and we'll stick with them for a while.
Yeah, we'll just use our imaginations.
Yes, I'm a writer. We'll use our imagination.
Yeah, she really enjoys it. It's nice to have something that we both kind of do together.
Yeah.
And I got my yellow belt from Akali at the beginning of the year. I was going to go for my green belt this year. That's not really going to happen this year. So hopefully next year I can do my green and then move into do some Panatukan again, because it's great fun. And I highly recommend martial arts in general. To be fair, they are great. I've done some kickboxing in the past and kung fu and kendo, which was a fun experience. And and they're always good fun. But this is the best I've ever done, most fun I've ever done.
I used to do judo when I was very little. Me and my brother did that. And the guy that trained us, it's really weird. So he was called Mr. Orton, and his wife, his son, and his daughter all did the same form of judo. And they were Olympic family. They'd all competed in the Olympics during,
Oh my word.
I think either late 70s, early 80s it was. And then he'd stopped doing that and he'd started teaching. And up in the Northeast where I'm from, that's where he set up his club, and we used to go. And they'd have do you ever have training weekends where you just go for the whole weekend and the class would be there and you'd all just spend the whole weekend just practicing and stuff. And one of the things was, right, everyone forms a line and you all throw the person and you just practice your throw. But it was like his son, and I was like this big and he's like this big. And I have to try to throw this giant over my shoulder, and then the next year I'm a little bit bigger and he's, starts the change starts to happen. But I used to love it. I used to love judo. And I did karate with my dad years later when I was a teenager, and that was good because that's something we did together. We'd go and do that and spend, a couple of nights a week just going and kicking the crap out of people doing Shotokan karate.
They are good fun. We also do knife disarms in Kali as well, so there's lots of knife work, which is pretty terrifying.
Useful.
We only rubber knives, but there have been occasions where the coach is like, "Steve, you're going to come and spar with me." And I'm like, "I'm not. I don't want to spar with you. I'm going to get hurt.
It's going to hurt too much."
Yeah, and I'm like, at the end of it, I hit you once. Yes, I hit you 400 times. So it's they are good fun, and they're a really nice group. And I think that's also really important if you're going to find something like that. That you find a
good club,
a good group of people who take it seriously, but also kind of are quite welcoming and open to enjoying having fun.
Definitely.
It's good. I really like it, and it's also been very good for work, for writing. Having that kind of putting stuff in I would never have put in before, because now I know how that works.
Right, for fighting scenes and combat stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, we've also had some questions have come in from the people. Michael has asked, well, we sort of covered this, but he said, are you planning or thinking about any non-Nate Universe books?
Yes. The Nate books are pretty much done now. I've got some novellas to write still in that universe. So I'm always going to keep my hand in it, I think.
Right.
But hopefully the next big book is a non-Nate book after Horseman's War. Horseman's War. Yeah.
Okay. Catherine asked about a preview of our next book or something to keep us addicts going until I think she means December the 3rd.
Yes. No.
What can you tease about the new book that's coming?
The new book that I've hopefully finished this month, actually. The urban fantasy. I'm hoping it's a little different to the Nate stuff. Nate is the big bad who kind of just he's a bit of a bulldozer. Just walks through a front door and is like, right, let's go fight. Anyone? Come on then, sort of thing. And the main character in the new book is called Lucas, and he's not really like that. He's a bit more turn up at night in your room, sat at the end of your bed, kind of going, hello, sort of thing. He's a bit more subterfuge and things. And so that's been quite good fun. And also, there's elements of a kind of Hellblazer in this one, the kind of and a little bit of Lovecraftian kind of horror and stuff. So it's a bit different to the Nate books. I wanted to kind of keep that kind of fun feel to the stories, but I want to do something a bit different. So hopefully they're enough different that, if they ever get published, and they might not, who knows? Publishing world is weird.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Hopefully people like them. It's been fun to write, I must admit.
All right. So Lindsay had asked, what she put? she's talking about the history of the books, and let's have a look. She's put there's a lot of history in your Nate books, and there's 2 different timelines that weave together. Was that on purpose, or what gave you the idea to write in that way?
Yeah, the first 6 Hellequin books are set in 2 timelines. So there's the past, there's the current Nate story, whatever that is,
Yep.
and then there's because Nate's 1600 years old. There's a past story. I've got one that's set in just after the Crusades. One that's set just before Agincourt. One that's set. And they're all in World War II and things like that. So it's where he was in this period of time, and it's all linked to the current storyline. I like history. I studied history at college. I find it fascinating. So I kind of wanted to keep a handle on doing that. I quite liked it. There was nothing when I published the books. There was nothing else quite like that.
Right.
Everything was set. Even the ancient any characters that were super old, they were always just set in modern day, and that was it. And I kind of wanted to. There's an old TV show, the Highlander TV show.
Yep.
And every single episode, there was a modern story, and there were flashbacks to what he was doing in the past that links to that modern story. And that is exactly what I wanted to do.
Oh, right. Okay.
So that's what I did for 6 books. And then the storyline got far too complicated for me to have past Nate and current other things all happening. And it would have been 300,000 words long and ridiculous. So I had to stop doing the history bit. And the history bits are now the novellas.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was always the plan. I love writing historical. I'd love to write historical fiction one day, full on.
Right.
Kind of like historic. Yeah, I'd love to write the kind of Punic Wars, Carthage, Rome, Hannibal over the Alps, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, that's one day I will get to write a historical fiction book after several years of research. So you can't get those wrong.
Yeah, people will complain about those.
They will 100% complain if I get them wrong.
Oh yeah, they'll really kick off about that. Lindsay also asked about your magic system, and she wanted to know how you developed it over time, and there's different abilities you've had in each book.
The magic system was really simple. I kind of came up with, I wanted an elemental magic, which is what it sounds like. So a sorcerer can only use 2 of the elements, and they can't be the opposite of each other. So he can't use water and fire.
Yeah.
So I wanted that, and then I wanted to use a sort of slightly more ambiguous magic, which I called Omega. So mind, matter, shadow, and light, and then blood magic and stuff like that. And I kind of made it more complicated as I went along. And the thing with all of these kind of magics, using magic, is that it's a little bit like the X-Men, in that you can say, well, this person can control magnets. And then you can be like, let's go all crazy and just do everything with this. And so you've got, one character who can create a flaming sword, and one character who also uses fire, but doesn't use a flaming sword, and he creates giant balls of flame or whatever. And the Omega stuff, I just really liked kind of doing more intricate stuff. So it was stuff like moving through shadows and using shadows as living things, and creating golems, and healing and mind control and all this kind of stuff. And I kind of wanted to use all of that. I think all of that comes from my comic book background. From reading so many comics. I think just having the use of being able to say, well, this person can do this, and this person can do this, and this person can do this, and I never have to have the same 2 people with the same power doing the same thing, and they can be a bit different. And it wasn't supposed to be really complicated, and then the further along I got in the books, the more complicated it ended up being. So yeah, that was fun. I quite like creating magic systems. I find that quite good fun. I quite like being like, right, let's see what I can do that no one's done before, or that someone's done before, and make it really weird.
Twist it a bit.
Yeah, like loads of people have done elemental magic, but I wanted to like, right, this is how this elemental magic works. It's a bit weird compared to how maybe some other people's works.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of where I came from with that, and I quite enjoyed it. I think that's one of the reasons why I was taking so long writing this epic fantasy book. I took a long time getting the magic system to work.
Right.
It's all about. I guess it's not really a spoiler, but it's all about color and crystals and things, and I wanted to kind of get it right. And so hopefully it works. But we'll see, because I haven't written it yet. It might not work. I might get halfway through it and go, Stephen, you're an idiot. There's no way that this works.
I could totally change it, do something different.
I'm going to change it all.
But I guess you're not tied into, as you were with your current books. You've been building them, so you don't need to worry with the new series. You can just go, nope, completely scrap it and change the magic system.
That's the plan. Yeah, I think that's. I quite like the freedom that writing epic fantasy, in my head at least, has. There's no kind of whatever rules I make, they are my rules.
Yes,
and I have to stick to them, but they are my rules, not governed by the rules that a person living in this world would think of when they were reading. So yeah, that sounds quite good fun. Quite like that. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Touch wood.
John asked, what would you do if you weren't a writer? That's a depressing thought, but go on.
Blimey, I've got no idea. I'd like to, I'll tell you what, actually, I wouldn't do, because I think this would be super difficult to get into, but I'd quite like to do voice work for like cartoons and things like that.
Right, yeah.
I think that is the best of being an actor without ever having to like care,
shave or dress up or make up. Or...
Today I've come from my bed still wearing my pajamas. That I think I'd love. I think I'd really enjoy doing that, the kind of voice work, or maybe work in computer games. That would be quite good as well. I'd like to have done that one day. I would hope that I get to work with a computer game studio. I think I'd enjoy that. Or I'd hate it and I'd never do it again, but I'll be glad that I did it just once.
You've done it once, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor on Smallville, then went on to do a lot of voice work, playing the Flash in the Justice League animated things.
Yes.
And of course, for Smallville, he had to, dress up really well and he had to shave his head regularly. Whereas for the Flash, he turns up with stubble and his what he wants to wear. He just sits in front of the mic, he speaks, and then he goes home in his baseball cap, and that's it. So
I think that sounds like a dream job to me. That sounds brilliant. I think I'd really like to do the voice work side of it. I know. There's a few. I think there's a few really big actors who are now kind of realizing that actually voice work is really lucrative and not quite so time consuming and on stuff. But no, I think that sounds like good fun. That would be my dream job if I wasn't doing it already.
It's like Brendan Fraser at the moment. He's doing Doom Patrol, and he's the voice of Robot Man.
Yes,
but he's just the voice of Robot Man. People say, "Is that you in a suit?" And he's like, "No, it's really heavy. It's really cumbersome. It's not me. It's this guy so-and-so. And he's there most of the time. I'm sat at home, and because of lockdown, he's been doing the voice thing from home for bits that was missed because it's not him." And he's like, "There you go."
I haven't seen Doom Patrol yet. I keep meaning to. Everyone keeps telling me it's wonderful.
It is good. It's quite dark. It's not like any of the kind of comic book show ever. And I think it's the biggest insider show for comic book fans.
Okay.
Because it's like deconstructing what makes a hero, and it's not like any other 22, 24. It's not that. It's like 10 or 13 a season. And two, some stuff will be like, "Oh God, that's like so-and-so," and other people will be like, "What? I don't get it. What's this?" And you and I, we sat there going, yeah. That's a reference to, I got that. Yeah.
I really liked Doom Patrol in the Titans show.
Mm-hmm.
They were really good. I liked that a lot.
Yes.
So I quite liked the very different take on the Titans.
I enjoyed that as well. Yeah. Yeah. It's really different, but really good.
Yeah. I think, when you have well-established characters, you can do a very different take on them and it'd be perfectly acceptable. Not everything has to be comic book accurate.
Yeah.
And I quite like it when they're like, I know that's the comic book, but we're going to do something weird.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, all right, sure, do it weird.
Why not?
Into the Spider-Verse was not 100% comic book accurate, and it was amazing.
That was really popular. It did really, really well, I heard. So
I really enjoyed it. It is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay, last question is from me. What are you reading at the moment? What are you enjoying?
I am currently reading Defender by G.X. Todd.
Yeah, Gemma Todd. Yeah, I read the first one, and I've got book 2 to read.
My wife has read all 3, and I've met Gemma, and she is lovely. And my wife is a bit of a fan of her books. And yesterday I said to Gemma, "Oh, my wife's a big fan of the book, and I know I've been saying I'm going to read your book, and I promise I am." And I started reading it. It's excellent. And I said to my wife, "Oh yeah, I told Gemma that I was reading a book," and she was like, "Do you know her?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And she does it all the time. The other week, not the other week, there was a couple of years ago actually at a convention. I know Mike Carey. I've met him a few times. Lovely man.
Lovely guy.
And my wife is a massive Mike Carey fan. And it was I think an EasterCon. And I came home and I was like, yeah, I know this. And then I commented on his post on Facebook, and he commented on my post to say, "It was lovely to see you again, Steve. Next time we're at a convention, let me know and we'll go out and have a drink." And my wife was like, "You're Mike Carey, and I love you and your books, and you're wonderful." And I'm like, "No, you live with an author."
Doesn't have the same charm, does it?
No, it really doesn't. So I'm reading Defender, and it's wonderful. I've just finished reading Bone Ships by RJ, which is also wonderful and weird and just intricate and clever. And I read Gideon the Ninth.
Tasman Muir?
Tamsin Muir,
I think. Muir?
Yeah. The lesbian space necromancers, nuns.
Okay,
thing.
I've seen the title and I've seen the cover, which is amazing. I keep thinking,
Brilliant.
What is that about? And I've no idea. So
it's just sarcasm and murder for like 400 pages. It's absolutely wonderful. It's pure kind of like you reading it and you just something horrific will happen and then something really funny will happen, usually within a sentence of the horrific thing, and you're like, I shouldn't be laughing at this. That's very funny. It's brilliant. Yeah, I really, really like it. It was a really good book. And then, so yeah, I'm really behind on my to be read pile, unfortunately. Yes, I am under orders to read all 3 of Gemma's books by my wife. I think so that she has someone to geek out with about them.
Yep.
And that's fine. No, they're really good, and I really recommend them. And yeah.
She lives about 20 minutes that way.
Oh, does she? Oh, yeah. Well, excellent. Oh, right, that's very cool.
I'll go around and see her in a bit.
She's also a fan of video games, so we've spoken online a few times about the PS5 and Xbox and etc. The other book I read this year was The Last in the Godblind books by Anna Stevens.
Yes.
Which are wonderful books. They are not for the faint-hearted or squeamish, or if you have any attachment to any person that might come along in the book, and you're like, please don't kill that person, now they're going to die. So just...
Oh, well.
Be aware. No, they're wonderful books. Well, I'm looking forward to her new book.
I'm really curious about that. Yes, out in November, so I'm looking forward to it.
I think she's a wonderful writer. And what was the other? I did read another book recently. My to be read pile is getting lower because I've had so much time this year to actually read stuff. Blackbird by Ed McDonald.
I've read the first one.
Yes, that's what I've only read the first one. I've got the other two, but I haven't read them. Wonderful book.
Amazing.
Really, 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 really clever book.
Yeah, really good.
There
really
aren't many
good.
books that I've read, and then when I finish it, I go, shit, I wish I'd thought of that. And there was stuff in there that made me go, I really wish I thought that, because that was great.
Mm.
So, yeah, and there's a bunch of great books coming out. Pete McLean's book is next, and apart from Anna's, obviously. So, yeah, and I've read your Battle Mage, Chaos, those three books.
Yeah, first three.
And I thoroughly enjoyed those, and I'm pretty certain I told you that when because I've got a signed copy of the
I
second
did. I signed
Blood
one for you at some point.
Yeah. And they're great books.
Thank you very much.
I really enjoyed those. They were they're exactly what I wanted from a book called Battle Mage.
Pretty on the nose.
Yeah, they go into it going, this is just going to be a roller coaster ride.
It'll be messy. There again, don't get too attached to people. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, yeah. No, I really enjoyed that book. It was very, very good. It was there's a lot of really good fantasy.
There's so much coming out these days. I struggle. I mean, I like you, I've had more time this year to catch up on my to-read pile. So I read Blackwing, I read Priest of Bones, I've read other things that I've finally started, getting round to, and and I'm now reading an Anthony Ryan book. Absolutely amazing stuff. Brilliant. Really enjoying it. I'm like, I should have got to this sooner, but it's just been sat on my pile, and it's just how these things are. And there's more coming out all the time.
Finally read Ninth Reign by Jen Williams.
Yeah.
Which won every award, I think, and deservedly so, because it was wonderful. And this year she's nominated again for her next book, I think, or the last book in the trilogy. But she's very, very good. And Pete McLean is Priest of Bones,
which is now going to be a TV series coming soon next year.
Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, just that book was another book that at the end of it I was like, damn it! Why did I think of that? That's so clever, talented bastard. It was great. I really enjoyed those books. I'm looking forward to the third one. I think I can't remember what it's called, but it's next year. I think.
It's coming soon. I think he's got signed another couple as well. So there's
I think he's doing 5 now, isn't he? So he's got a while to go yet.
That's too many books. This is it. I'm just like I'm way behind. I've got to try and catch up, but I'm doing the best I can. I don't read particularly fast, and I'm constantly writing as well. So it's just
yes, I do find I think part of my problem is that when I'm writing, I don't read, because when I start to read fantasy or urban fantasy and I'm writing, I'll read something and I'll go, oh wait a minute, my brain wants me to go and write something else. And I start to think of stuff that I want to put into my book, or stuff that I would put into that book. Yeah. So I tend to read historical stuff, Bernard Cornwell, or like thrillers and things like that, just because I don't have to think, oh, that's a good idea. Or
that.
Yeah, or something along those lines. And Audible's really good as well. I've been using that when I go to the gym. So I found that to be a very helpful thing to do. Although there are certain books I can't listen to. I tried to listen to certain books at the gym, fantasy books, and then when the names aren't like one word and they're like Kala or whatever, and you stop, you're going, wait a minute, what? The name was that? And then they start saying other names, and they all kind of blur into one ball of letters.
Right.
And you go, right, I need to flick back and forth to see who is what and what they're doing, because I start to forget stuff. It's easy when you're listening to, like, historical fiction and the names are like Jeff and things. You're like, yeah, I know who Jeff is.
Norman the Conqueror. Yep, I know him. Got him. I'm on with that.
Yep. Not a problem at all. I'm fine with that one. But no, yeah. I this year's been at least a reason for me to catch up with my reading.
Me too. Try to, at least.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for coming on and spending some time with me and talking about writing. And I'll put a link down below to all the places people can contact you. And they'll watch out for the third book in December, which wraps it all up. And then something new next year.
Hope so. Yes. Thank you very much.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.